Hey everyone, it's Mrs. Dix here again this week. So first let's review what we talked about last week. We talked about making our own luck and setting goals and then making a plan to achieve those goals. So I hope you guys had a chance to set some goals for yourself even at home. And if you've done that, please have your parent reach out to me and let me know what that goal was and how it's going for you, okay? But this week, we're going to talk about some things that I think you guys might be experiencing at home, especially if you have siblings, and that is conflict. So, conflict basically just means like an argument, a disagreement, maybe even like a fight that you might be having between you and someone that you're living with. It can be big or it can be small. Basically just means we're not getting along exactly how I wanted to. So I'm going to first talk about 5 steps to helping to solve your own conflict, because conflict is very normal. It's something that everybody experiences. Everybody has disagreements or arguments with people, even if you love that person. Sometimes you don't always agree with them. So it's good to know how to handle it when you do have a disagreement, because they're going to happen, okay? So it's super easy, super quick. 5 steps is what we're going to talk about today, all right? And we could talk about conflict for days and days and days, but I know that you guys wouldn't want to hear that, and I don't really want to have to talk for days and days and days. So we're going to make this super quick and easy. First, I'm going to just go through the 5 steps and tell you what they are. Then I'm going to break them down a little bit and explain what I mean by that. So step number 1 is to make sure you're calm. Step number 2 is to identify the problem. Step number 3 is to decide if it's a big problem or a small problem. Step number 4 is to try 2 ways of fixing the problem, all on your own. And then step number 5 is to tell an adult that you trust, if necessary. Okay, so the last resort is to tell an adult. Okay, now step number 1, and all of this, per usual, will be on my website underneath this video, okay? All of these worksheets, so you don't have to write this down or remember it. Step number 1 is to calm down, all right? So this is step number 1. And basically, that means we could take 5 deep breaths before we start talking to the person about the issue we have. We could take a break, so you could walk away from the situation and take a break. If the conflict is with your parent, remember we have to have respect, right? So you could say, hey, I need a minute to calm down and then come back to the situation. Don't just walk away, all right? Then you could also get a drink if you needed a drink of water. You could think a happy thought to help yourself calm down, or you could count to 10 super slowly, okay? So that's step number 1, is to calm down. Step number 2 is identify the problem. So you need to ask yourself, what is the issue here? Okay, so maybe it's that brother or sister took your toy. Maybe it's that you had to get off the Xbox and you really weren't ready to get off the Xbox yet. So you need to ask yourself, what is the problem here? Why am I so upset? What is the conflict? Okay. And then step number 3 is to decide, is this a big problem or is this a small problem? So basically, you need to ask yourself, is this something that I'm still going to be upset about in a couple of days or even a week? Okay, and if the answer is no, it's probably a small conflict, okay? And if the answer is yes, I'm going to be upset about this for months and months and months, then it's a big problem, okay? That's step number 3. So ask yourself, is this a really big problem? Do I really need to be this upset about it? Okay? And then step number 4 is to try to find 2 ways to fix the problem. All right, so if it's the toy, if someone took your toy, Maybe one idea would be to share the toy. You get it for 10 minutes, they get it for 10 minutes, and you swap that way. Maybe another way to fix the problem is to find something else to do. It can always help you to be the bigger person in a situation and just say, hey, you know what, this is okay, and I am going to go find another toy to play with while they're playing with that one. Then I can go back to it when they're done. You could also use I statements. This is one of my favorite things, okay? It's basically turning everything you would say using the word you into the word I. So, I'll give you an example. Instead of saying, you are making me so angry, I could say, I'm feeling really angry because you took my toy. Do you see how different that sounds? I'll do one more. So you're making me get off the Xbox and you don't understand that I have to finish this toy or I have to finish this game. Okay? You don't understand. All right? You could change that to, I'm really frustrated because I need to finish this game and I feel that you aren't understanding that. Sounds a lot different, right? So it's changing those you to I feel. Okay? Makes it sound a whole lot better. So again, step number 4 was trying to find 2 ways to fix the problem yourself before telling an adult. So it basically means you're trying to be big boys and girls and trying to solve your problems before you go and tell mom and dad or whoever you live with, because you guys have a whole lot more power than you think you do, okay? You have a whole lot more control over your situations than you think you do sometimes. And then the last resort, if this was a super huge conflict, you tried 2 things to solve it. You tried sharing the toy. You tried compromising and saying, hey, you can have it for 10 minutes. I can have it for 10 minutes. You tried expressing how you felt using an I statement instead of saying you. You tried to say, I feel upset, and they still weren't listening and the problem was still really big. Then you tell an adult, okay? That's the last resort. So that's step number 5. Then you tell an adult if it's necessary. So basically, you're going to find somebody that you trust to help you with your problem. Maybe that's your parent, maybe it's your babysitter if you have one. When we come back to school, maybe it's your teachers, your principals, maybe it's me, your counselor. So make sure that you tell someone that you trust, and then maybe they can help you with your conflict if you can't solve it on your own, okay? So like I said, all of these will be on the site just in case you forget the steps, okay? So it's 5 easy steps. Now, another thing that you're going to see on my website is an activity. I always try to add an activity in with these videos. So basically, it is we can solve our own conflict. And it's so true. A lot of times you guys can't. It's just a matter of kind of calming down and figuring it out, okay? So it's very, very easy. It goes through the steps. It goes through the 5 steps, okay? So let's say after you watch this video, a conflict happens between you and a sibling, and they made you really upset, okay? The first question is, what is the conflict, okay? So you're going to write that down. The next one is step 1. Are you both calm? If you're not, you guys need to take a breather. You need to go count to 10. You need to go get a drink of water, okay? Step 2 was, what is the actual problem? You're going to write that down, okay? Because your idea of the problem might be different from theirs. So you both, whoever you're having the conflict with, need to go through this form, okay? And then number 3 is this a big problem or a small problem, okay? And you need to be honest with yourself. If this is not something that you're going to be upset about in the next day or 2, it's probably a small issue, right? And then you're going to come up with 2 strategies, 2 ways to try to work through the conflict on your own, okay? Because this sheet is all about solving your own issues, all right? If that doesn't work, step number 5 was to tell a trusted adult, okay? Once you guys have resolved the conflict, and hopefully you do fix it and end up okay. Once you've done that, I want you to write down how you did that. Okay, that's a question on here, because in the future, if we have that same conflict, we can go back to this sheet and remember how we fixed it the last time. Okay, so this will also be on there. The very last thing I want to talk about with you guys today is one easy, not so easy, but super effective way to fix a conflict, okay, to solve a problem, and that is compromise, okay? So a lot of times when we're trying to fix a problem, we might just demand that somebody do what we want them to do, and that would fix your problem, but not their problem, right? So when you think compromise, I want you to think win-win. It means both people in the conflict win, okay? So that means, and I'm just going to use these names out of making them up, okay? We have Joey and we have Taylor, okay? So maybe Joey wants to play with the toy, but so does Taylor. So does Joey get the toy for the entire time? Would that be compromise? Would Taylor be winning at all? No. So what if Taylor got the toy for the entire time? Then would Joey be winning at all? No. So, but if we split the 30 minutes, say you had 30 minutes with the toy, say Joey got 15 minutes and Taylor got 15 minutes. That's a win-win, right? Like they're both getting the same thing. They're both getting 15 minutes with the toy. So therefore, that's compromise. It's a win-win, okay? So whenever you guys are coming up with ways to fix your conflict, and you're coming up with ways to fix the issue that you're having, I want you guys to think win-win. What would help us both to feel better about this, okay? To help you with that, I'm also going to add this sheet to the site so that you can remember what it means to compromise and what win-win can look like, okay? So with that being said, the next time you guys have a conflict at home, because I know they happen a whole lot more than we might admit that they happen. Mrs. Dix has conflict all the time too, so it's all about how we handle it, okay? It's going to happen, so we might as well handle it in a nice, respectful way, okay? So, like I said, all of this will be up on the site underneath this video, and I hope that you guys are getting outside in the sunshine and doing a lot of fun stuff, but also taking time to read and write and practice your math so that you stay super sharp, and you guys are still my smart kiddos when we come back to school next year. All right, I'll talk to you next week. Bye-bye.